She laid in bed watching a movie. Laughing away and taking advantage of her Netflix account, she has seen almost all her favorite movies. The beauty of technology, she loved it. She could sit in her room and with the click of a button watch something that couldn't have been possible 5 years ago. Laying in bed with her soft, comfortable sheets with her puppy at her side. Her apartment was nice and cold, and she enjoyed the luxury of living alone. She could do what she wanted, when she wanted, whenever she pleased. It was a little past 1 a.m. when she heard a noise outside. It almost sounded as if something was hit. The sound of glass shattering. She paused her movie and listened to the dead silence. She heard nothing after that. Assuming it was just part of the movie, she proceeded to finish her movie and get comfortable again. 10 to 15 minutes go by, and this time something happens that she knows she did not imagine. It almost sounded like a knock at the door. She got up out of bed, and her dog began to growl. She told her dog to calm down, and in an assuring voice she told her dog she'd be right back. She then walked down her stairs and opened her front door. There was no one there. She took a step out and felt the hot, humid weather instantly and looked in all directions to see if someone was playing a prank on her. There was no one. She then stepped back inside and climbed up her stairs, walked into her room and saw her dog. She bent down and played with her dog and told her that it was nothing, as if the dog understood her or not. She then climbed back into bed and wrapped herself in sheets and watched a movie. It's now 2 a.m. and she's slowly getting tired. Relaxed and dozing off, suddenly the power shuts off. She's suddenly wide awake. Things flash through her head such as, where did I put my phone? Is this just my home? Where's my flashlight? She then finds her phone and uses the flashlight on her cell phone. And once again she thinks, oh, the beauty of technology. She walks down the stairs as fast as she can and opens the door to notice that the entire block was out of power. She messages her friends, but it seems like no one's replying. She sees a silhouette of a man at one of the other apartments and asks if they know what has happened. And the man replied that he wasn't sure and asked her for the time. She gave him the time and told him to have a great night, and then told herself as she walked back to her door that she needs to find candles since her cell phone battery is almost dead. She's upset at herself that she didn't charge it and didn't know how long the power would be out. Wondering what the source of the problem was, she rummaged through her belongings and found a lighter and 2 candles. Afraid to cause a fire, she placed one in the bathroom counter and one on her nightstand. She tried to remain calm and got back into bed and couldn't help but feel scared in the dark apartment all alone. She calmed her dog down once again and decided to watch an old DVD on her laptop. But of course, since she had an older laptop, her battery drained so fast she barely watched about 24 minutes of the movie before it shut off on her. Now she's sitting in the dark with the temperature getting hotter and hotter by the minute. The candle flickered, casting a shadow on the wall, and it seemed like every noise caught her attention. She decided to grab her phone and see if she could find out what was going on. She went online and went to Facebook page of a local news station and noticed that others had posted problems with their power as well, and no one knew the reason why. She scrolled down the comments and noticed that 4 hours earlier there was an alert put out for a local manhunt. To avoid freaking herself out, she closed the page and decided to text her friend. She replied finally and felt the relief of outside contact and chatting with her friend to keep her distracted. Even if it was just a little distraction, it was working. After a few text messages, she remembered her battery was almost dead and decided to tell her friend she needed to conserve her battery and say goodbye. Again, sitting in the dark, she grew anxious. Suddenly she heard a loud noise outside again. This frightened her this time. She grabbed her dog and locked herself in the bathroom, and she thought, "Oh, I'm just being paranoid. I can't believe I'm locking myself in here. It's so hot. When is the power going to come back on?" She opened the bathroom door and stepped into the hallway when she heard a noise that without a doubt she knew what it was. She heard her front door slowly creak open, and in a moment of fear, she ran to her closet where she kept her small tools she used to hang up things on the walls to decorate with. The quickest thing she could grab was a small hammer. She then slowly closed the bathroom door and locked it and hid in the bathtub, shaking, clenching her hammer. Hoping her imagination was just getting the best of her, she then heard heavy breathing as if somebody had reached the top of the stairs. She forgot that she lit the candle on her nightstand, so when the person reached the top steps, they could see the flickering of the flame coming from her bedroom. She could hear heavy footsteps and wondered if it was someone she knew. But if it was someone she knew, then they would have said something by now, and this person has yet to make their presence known. All she could hear was the heavy breathing and loud footsteps on the floor outside the bathroom door. She then remembered that that candle was lit, and suddenly the doorknob moved. The person then noticed the door was locked and now knew someone was home. Shaking, she grabbed her phone and tried to call 911, but her phone had a message that the battery was low, and to conserve battery life, it had turned off her Wi-Fi. She lived in an area where her coverage didn't work in parts of her home, and she used her Wi-Fi router to boost her signal throughout her home, but with the power off, her phone had no signal and was now useless. All of this was running through her head, and at the same time, the noise of the handle that turned into someone banging on the door. Knowing the door was poorly made since it was an old apartment, she knew the door wouldn't last. She gripped her hammer and was ready to use it if she needed to, but was so scared she couldn't stop shaking. Her dog began to bark so loud she was afraid to calm her down. What if they heard her? Maybe the dog could scare the person away. The door then finally opened and there was a bright light that came shining in, and she couldn't see who it was. They walked towards her and she said, "Who is it?" With the dog barking and the fear, she didn't recognize the voice. She heard a little bit of laughter from the person who now she knows and can tell that it is a man. He said something that sounded like him saying to calm down, and all she could think of was the news alert of the manhunt she read earlier. He stepped closer to her and she shivered in fear. In her mind, she knew that this person had no clue that she had her hammer, and was waiting till they were close enough and she would swing with all her might and then run. Her dog continued to bark, so she knew that this wasn't someone that she knew. If she knew this person, the dog would have stopped barking. Finally, the man stepped close enough, and as he was about to say something, he then finally started to lower his flashlight. But in the blink of an eye, she began to swing her hammer back and forth, and she heard him scream. Scared for her life, she kept swinging over and over and over again and felt the claw of the hammer stuck in something and pulled as hard as she could, and it wouldn't budge. At that moment, the power came back on. She looked around and found herself on the floor, straddling over this man, grabbing the end of her hammer. Her dog was still barking so loud and noticed that the man was no longer moving. She turned and said, in such a loud voice, "Be quiet," and the dog grew silent. She turned back around and saw the claw of the hammer stuck in the eye socket of the man. As she looked closer, she noticed this man wasn't just any man. This man was her neighbor. She had texted him earlier, and he was just stopping by, and noticed that she left her door slightly open when she was outside earlier. The dog did not stop barking because it was so dark. She began to cry, as she stared at the bits of blood and bones. So this is just a short story that I wrote, you guys. I hope you like it. I had it on my Tumblr page, but somebody requested that I do a video of it, so here you go. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. I don't claim to be a writer or anything like that. I just did this for fun. This is actually the first short story I actually write down. But thanks for listening, and have a great day. Bye!